They say you never forget the day your peace is shattered by something so absurd, so bizarre, that it lodges in your memory like a splinter you can't stop poking. For me, that day was a Tuesday, one of those hot, syrupy afternoons in August, when even the birds can't be bothered to sing and the only thing that makes sense is to sink into your backyard pool and forget the world exists. That's all I wanted. Just a quiet swim, a glass of iced tea, and maybe an hour where no one needed me to fix, judge, or explain anything. My name's Thaddeus Monroe. Folks around here call me Thad. I'm a man who appreciates order, who finds comfort in predictability. I spent over 30 years in the justice system, half of them wearing the black robe. But that day, I wasn't Judge Monroe. I was just a tired man in his late 50s, floating in his pool in a sleepy Carolina suburb, trying to cool off the ache in my bones and the noise in my head. I'd moved to Maple Creek just 3 months before quiet neighborhood, tall oaks, folks who waved from their driveways but didn't pry. Perfect place to retire in peace. I'd found a house with a bit of land, a white fence, and a pool in the backyard. That pool became my sanctuary. I had my trunks, my towel folded just so, and a John Adams biography face down on the lounge chair. Everything in its place. Until it wasn't. The gate creaky sound I knew shouldn't be there, and then she came in like a bad idea, in sensible shoes. She had the look of someone who hadn't had a kind word in years, hair the color of regret, and a uniform that seemed to be made entirely of polyester and delusion. She had a badge plastic, I'd bet, in a toy handcuff set clipped to her hip like a sheriff from a discount western. Out of the pool, she barked, voice cracking like old vinyl. This is private property, and you don't belong here. Now, I'm a man of habit. I don't yell. I don't rush. I tread water, pulled my goggles down, and said, calm as I could, "Ma'am, this is my backyard. That fence you just opened? I paid for it. And this pool? It's mine." She scoffed, hands on hips, eyes scanning me like I was a smudge on her lens. "Don't lie. I know this neighborhood. My sister lives 2 doors down. We keep an eye on things. You're not on the HOA list." "I'm not part of your HOA," I said. "This house is outside your jurisdiction. You people always think you can skirt the rules," she snapped. There it was. The phrase. You people. And suddenly the heat wasn't just from the sun anymore. "Ma'am, I'm going to ask you one time," I said, pulling myself up out of the water, water streaming down my back, hands raised in half peace, half warning. "Please leave my property." That was when she reached for the handcuffs. "You're under neighborhood arrest for trespassing and indecency," she declared, lunging toward me. Before I could even blink, she'd slapped one of those toy cuffs on my left wrist. It pinched like hell. The absurdity of it, me, a retired judge, standing half wet in my own yard, being arrested by a woman in a costume, was almost funny. Almost. "If you touch me again," I said, voice flat as granite, "that will be assault." "You think you can intimidate me?" she shrieked. "You're going to jail, mister. For swimming in my pool." She yanked the cuff, trying to drag me toward the gate like I was some shoplifter caught red-handed. I didn't resist. Not really. I just let her play out her little drama, while the security cameras I'd installed 2 weeks ago captured every wild-eyed second. About 10 minutes into this circus, real sirens showed up. 2 police cruisers pulled up out front, and out stepped Officer Garcia and Sergeant Lindholm, both familiar faces from the precinct where I'd volunteered after retirement. They froze when they saw me. "Judge Monroe." "Afternoon, gentlemen," I said, still dripping, still cuffed. "Patricia," that was her name, Patricia Yarrow, self-appointed neighborhood watch czar, spun toward them, triumphant. "I caught this man trespassing. I demand you arrest him." Garcia looked at me, then at the toy cuff, then at Patricia's costume. "Ma'am, where did you get that uniform?" "Amazon," she said, without hesitation. "But that's not the point. He doesn't belong here. He's dangerous." Lindholm rubbed his temple. "Ma'am, that man is a retired circuit judge. He owns this property. And unless you have a warrant or actual authority, you've just committed trespass, impersonated an officer, and potentially attempted unlawful detention." Patricia's face turned a color I can only describe as expired cranberry sauce. They uncuffed me. Took her statement. Took mine. I offered them the footage. Patricia offered accusations, none of which held up. And I thought maybe, just maybe, that'd be the end of it. It wasn't. 2 days later, I got a notice from a local civil attorney. Patricia was suing me for assault, defamation, and causing her emotional collapse. I laughed for a solid minute before calling my lawyer, Eleanor McRae. Ellie doesn't suffer fools, especially not ones wrapped in polyester power trips. She's bluffing, Ellie said. But if she wants to dance, we'll lead. We counter-swed trespass, defamation, false imprisonment, and a little cherry on top, emotional distress. Court was set. Judge Thomas presiding. The day Patricia took the stand, dressed like a kindergarten principal and smelling like talcum powder and rage, was the day I knew we'd win. Her story wobbled with every question. Her timeline didn't match the footage. And then she said it. He didn't look like he belonged. Because? Ellie asked. Because he was just standing there, in the pool, looking entitled. Entitled to his own pool, on his own property. Patricia's lawyer sank lower in his chair. We played the video. The jury watched in silence as Patricia stormed the gate, wagged her finger, slapped on the cuff, and tried to drag me across my own lawn. My favorite part? When she tripped over the sprinkler head and fell flat on her polyester behind. Not a single person laughed out loud, but I saw the corners of more than one mouth twitch. Verdict came back in under 2 hours. She owed me damages, legal fees, punitive costs, and a public apology read aloud in the same courtroom where she'd tried to rewrite reality. She gave it, begrudgingly, mangled the words like they were poison, then stormed out. For a while, it was quiet again. I went back to my routines, back to morning swims and evening tea. But one morning, I found my fence tagged with spray paint racial slurs, misspelled but unmistakable. My rose bushes slashed. Eggs rotting on the porch. The cameras caught it all. Patricia, in a hoodie and gloves, but you can't hide a walk like hers. Police arrested her within 24 hours. This time, real charges. Hate crime enhancements. No civil drama, just straight law. She pled out. Got probation, community service, and a restraining order. I didn't press for jail. I just wanted her gone. And now, it's peaceful. Mostly. My roses are blooming again. I added motion lights and better locks. But I also made a donation to a legal aid fund for folks who don't have lawyers like Ellie or cameras or a badge of their own. Because the truth is, I had the tools to fight back. But too many folks don't. And people like Patricia, they count on that. So here's my story for what it's worth. Maybe it makes you shake your head. Maybe it reminds you of someone on your block. Maybe it just makes you laugh. But if it makes you pause, makes you think twice before assuming who belongs where, then maybe that's justice, too. Let me know in the comments, have you ever had your peace disturbed by someone who thought they ran the neighborhood? And what would you have done if it had been you, waist deep in your own pool, and someone came at you with a plastic badge and a fistful of ignorance? Stay safe out there. Watch your fences. And never, ever underestimate the power of a camera and a calm voice.